The most dangerous man in the world has finally decided to move. In chapter 1149, it's revealed that the Holy Land Marijoa is under attack. While the exact perpetrators aren't explicitly named, the context strongly suggests the Revolutionary Army's involvement. Not for power, but for history itself. Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the Revolutionary Army and the most wanted man alive, has remained in the shadows for decades. But after the fire that consumed the Holy Land and the growing instability within the world government, it seems the time for revolution is no longer tomorrow, it is now. The scene from Ohara in chapter 1066 is one of the most revealing in the entire series. Here we see Monkey D. Dragon standing beside Vegapunk and the remnants of Ohara's legacy. He is younger, unscarred, and furious. Clover is dead, the scholars are dead, and the world government has burnt the tree of knowledge to the ground. But the books, those fragile texts carrying the weight of history, have been saved by Saw and by Dragon's own hands. In this flashback, Dragon isn't the feared leader of a revolution. He's a man filled with disillusionment. A former Marine who has now become a rebel. A man who was too righteous to serve tyranny. When Vegapunk accuses him of starting a war with no resources, no weapons, and no nation, Dragon doesn't flinch. He knows. But he also knows that the world government doesn't fear armies. They fear truth. The scholars of Ohara gave their lives not for war, but for knowledge, for the right of humanity to know its past. This was the turning point. Dragon went from being a dissenter to being a revolutionary. And now, decades later, he's watching the world government repeat the same crime on an even larger scale. Destroying Lelouchia Island with an unknown weapon, possibly Uranus, wiping out not just people but their history. We know Sabo witnessed something he wasn't supposed to. In the Reverie arc and subsequent revelations, we learn that he saw Imu, the mysterious figure who sits on the empty throne. Proof that the entire system of world governance is a lie. This changes everything for Dragon. He already knew the world government was corrupt. He already knew they were hiding the Void Century. But now he knows there's a God King pulling the strings from behind the curtain, erasing entire islands to protect a secret, and worse, Imu is still active, still powerful, and still destroying anyone who gets close to the truth. Now, Dragon isn't the kind of leader to act on impulse. For years he built up his network through countries, spies, and former slaves. But this moment, Sabo's message, the attack on Lelouchia, it was the final straw. This is no longer a revolution, this is war against a god. But why now? Let's look at the state of the world. The warlord system has been abolished, and now former warlords like Mihawk and Crocodile are forming new factions like the Cross Guild, which are built to hunt Marines. The Marines are stretched thin, deploying the SSG and Seraphim to compensate for their losses. Stellar Vegapunk is dead while his remaining satellites have defected. The Celestial Dragons have never been weaker, relying on Imu's hidden weapons to stay in control. This is the moment Dragon has been waiting for. The Empire is cracked, and he is the hammer. Throughout history, revolutions succeed not just because of righteous anger, but because the regime is weak. From the French Revolution to modern uprisings, successful revolutions come at the moment of maximum instability. Dragon knows this. His move isn't just emotional, it's strategic. Imu's reaction to the attack on Marijoa is telling. In chapter 1149, Imu telepathically contacts the Holy Knights, expressing frustration over the delayed conquest of Elbaf, and emphasizing the urgency of their return to protect the Holy Land, which is telling in itself, because the Holy Knights are not meant to be protectors of the Celestial Dragons, but more of a policing unit in the Holy Land. They punish, not protect the Celestial Dragons, like in this panel where Saint Figaland punished this dragon. This urgency suggests that Imu perceives the Revolutionary Army's assault as a significant threat, necessitating the immediate consolidation of power. The strategic importance of Elbaf, home to the formidable giants, cannot be overstated. By securing Elbaf, Imu aims to bolster the world government's military strength and deter further rebellions. In chapter 1086, Ivankov casually pulls out a book titled Genesis, immediately evoking biblical overtones. That word is loaded. It's not just the beginning of the Christian Bible. It's a symbol of creation, origin, and divine authority. And in the context of the One Piece world, Where knowledge is power and the Void Century is buried beneath layers of propaganda, this book isn't just some light reading, its existence is dangerous. Now the question rises, is it from O'Hara? Highly likely. We know from Vegapunk's flashback that the giants from Elbaf and Monkey D. Dragon were both present after the destruction of O'Hara, and they salvaged the books scholars had flung into the lake to preserve them from the Bastacle. Those books now reside in Elbaf. It's very plausible that Genesis was among them. And look at the pattern. Genesis contains ancient knowledge. It is not known to the public. Ivankov quotes it like scripture, meaning it's either rare, sacred, or dangerous. If it is from O'Hara, it directly links Dragon to the rediscovery of lost knowledge, and thus to the revival of the ancient war. But why would Emu be in the book? Emu's entire existence is based on secrecy. The empty throne is a symbol of equality, and Emu's presence there exposes the lie. So if this Genesis book mentions Emu or the means of achieving everlasting life, which Ivankov suggests someone has proven, then the world government might have tried and failed to eliminate every reference to Emu. But some truth survived in Genesis. The book could be pre-world government, a relic from the ancient kingdom, passed secretly down through rebel lines or hidden scholars, or possibly one of the many translations of the poneglyphs. If that's the case, then yes, it's probably one of the oldest and most suppressed books in existence. In later chapters, Vegapunk speculates what Saint Jupiter or one of the five elders would say. The ancient war never ended. And let's sit with that. This isn't just poetic, it's literal. The Void Century wasn't just a blank in history. It was the world government's victory in a massive civilization-shaping war. The war between the ancient kingdom, who had one faction that believed in freedom, unity, and natural law, and the 20 kingdoms who believed in control, order, and elitism. Emu is the product of that war. The celestial dragons are its inheritors. But if Dragon is burning Marijoa to the ground, he's not starting a new war. He's continuing the old one. It's only now reaching its final phase. Everything in the story points to Dragon as a successor to the Wheel of D, and the ideals of that faction of the ancient kingdom. He is a former marine who defected and later turned into a rebel, and later turned into the revolutionaries' leader. He founded the revolutionary army to topple the world nobles, not just liberate nations. He is deeply connected to people who preserved the old truth, Vegapunk, O'Hara's survivors, and possibly Elbaf's warriors. He knows about Emu thanks to Sabo's testimony and the Genesis book. And here's where it all converges. If Dragon is the one burning Marijoa, this isn't terrorism. This is a symbolic and literal destruction of the seat of the false gods. A reawakening of the war that Emu and the elders thought they buried 800 years ago. A message to the world. The throne is not empty, but it will be. Luffy may be the inheritor of Joy Boy's will, but Dragon is the one who remembers the cost. He has walked among the wreckage of the past, buried the bodies, and read the forbidden truths. Their actions aren't coordinated, but they are aligned. Luffy defeats false gods. Enel, the Flamingo, Kaido. Dragon challenges the highest god, Emu. Sabo bears witness and carries the torch of truth. Literally. I mean, the man has fire-based abilities. Whether or not they know it, they are all fighting the same battle across different fronts. In the knowledge department, Vegapunk, Robin, the scholars. When it comes to action, Luffy, Sabo, Zoro, Sanji, Shanks. And then the rebellion, Dragon and the revolutionary army. If Genesis was about the beginning of this world order, then Dragon and his allies are writing Revelation. The fall of Marijoa isn't just a tactical move, it's a prophetic event. The long-awaited second coming of the ancient kingdom's will. And it's no coincidence that the fire burns now. The fire is truth, and the truth is, the world is already at war. It just forgot. That's the exact question Oda wants us to ask. If there is a Genesis book in One Piece, a record of origins, ancient life, and forbidden truth, then there must also be a revelation. A moment or text or person through whom all hidden things are made known, and judgment arrives. And here's the wild part. The revelation is happening now. Not as a book, but as a sequence of events. And we are in the middle of its final chapters. The book of Revelation in the Bible is apocalyptic. It reveals the final battle between good and evil, exposes the beast, a false god or corrupted ruler, destroys Babylon, a corrupt empire, ushers in a new world. Now think of the parallels. Imwe is the beast, hidden, false, seemingly eternal. Marijoa is Babylon, built on blood, secrets, and stolen history. The world government is the great empire that claims peace but preserves slavery. The revolutionaries, the straw hats, and the people of D. They are the agents of apocalypse, not to destroy the world but to reveal the truth and rebuild. So if Genesis is the ancient text, Revelation is the present war. Who is writing the revelation? It's not one person, it's a chorus. Vegapunk's final broadcast is a revelation. It exposes the ancient war, the void century, and Imu's existence. Sabo's testimony is a revelation. He tells Dragon that there is someone seated on the empty throne. Luffy's actions are a revelation. Every time he defeats a false king, he pulls back the curtain. Robin and the scholars of Ohara preserve Genesis, but Luffy, Dragon, and Vegapunk are living revelation. You don't read this book, you witness it. What has the revelation revealed so far? That Imu is not a symbol, but a tyrant who has lived for centuries through unnatural means. That the Void Century was the deliberate destruction of an enlightened, unified civilization. That the Will of D is not a name, but a mission, those chosen by fate to finish the ancient war. That the Red Line, the world government, and the Celestial Dragons were built to suppress freedom, erase history, and protect Imu's throne. And most importantly, that Joy Boy never died. He just had to be reborn. Revelation has confirmed that Luffy is that rebirth, and that the final battle isn't just about defeating a villain. It's about restoring the truth of the world. But what happens after Revelation? Now the sea is vast. The world is broken. The dream of the ancient kingdom, or to be more precise, Joy Boy's ancient kingdom, it was a united world. No borders, no gods, no slaves. So after Revelation comes the fall of the Red Line, the destruction of Marijoa, the return of the All Blue, the sea that unites the world, the true dawn where history is no longer forbidden. This is the age the Pirate King must usher in, not by conquering but by liberating.